Ah, the FIFA World Cup. Effectively soccer's holy grail, it is one of the most difficult 4-year feats to accomplish in the world of sport, and every player, coach, and or fan dreams of seeing it won by their country or doing the feat themselves with their fellow countrymen. Since it was first presented in 1930, 8 nations have won the prestigious award at least once, with Brazil having the most titles with 5 as of this video. Many fans who saw that their nation win it all fondly remember where they were when they saw that their country were World Cup champions, and some truly passionate fans can even recall how old many of the players were when they gained a notable distinction. For example, Pele was only 17 years, 8 months, and 7 days old when he won his first of 3 World Cup championships. However, what about the head coaches and managers? The ones who actually put together the game plan that helps their nation win the World Cup. They aren't talked about as much, but the distinction of World Cup champions also applies to them. So for today's video, we'll be giving them the recognition they deserve. Well, we actually do have some criteria for this video. 1. The coach or manager must have won the World Cup at least once. 2. The dates shown on this video are that of the winning manager's birth and the World Cup final that they won. Additionally, if a head coach or manager has won more than once, both finals with their respective ages will be shown. This has actually happened, by the way. Oh, and I'll drop an interesting fact or two about either the coach, team, or tournament itself. Also, I don't speak every language in the world, so if I get any pronunciation wrong, please forgive me and feel free to correct me in the comments. One other thing to note is that Germany was split into 2 nations between the 1950 and 1990 World Cups. They were unified before the 1994 World Cup, and the records from both national teams were combined in the history of today's German team, which explains the asterisk in some years. Let's get started. Born on November 20th, 1898, when Alberto Supici won the inaugural World Cup on his home soil, he was 31 years, 8 months, and 11 days old. Interestingly enough, he also remains the youngest manager or head coach to win the World Cup, despite his victory occurring 96 years ago at the time of this video, holding on to the record posthumously for 44 years. On March 2nd, 1886, Vittorio Pozzo was born in Turin, Italy. On June 10th, 1934, he won the World Cup in Rome, the capital of his home soil. He was 48 years, 3 months, and 9 days old at this point. His players had to endure a dire challenge, as the 1934 World Cup final was played with temperatures reaching as high as 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit in Rome that day. The only head coach or manager as of this video to win the World Cup in back-to-back instances, being born on March 2nd, 1886 meant that when Victoria Pozzo won the World Cup in Paris on June 19th, 1938, he was 52 years, 3 months, and 18 days old. With their previous win in 1934, Italy became the first nation to win the World Cup twice and do so successively. However, due to World War II breaking out little more than a year after their victory, the World Cup would not be held again until 1950. This meant that by technicality, the Italians were World Cup champions for 16 years. Juan Lopez Fontana was born on March 15, 1908, and pulled off an upset against the favored Brazilians in Rio de Janeiro on July 16, 1950, making him a World Cup winning coach or manager at 42 years, 4 months, and 2 days old. Although this was not listed as a final, it was instead the last match of a final group stage. The match would end up being the one that determined the tournament winner after Sweden and Spain's match ended in a 3-1 victory for the former, leading FIFA to retroactively classify the match as one. This match is also regarded as one of the darkest moments in Brazilian soccer history. Being born on March 20th, 1897, and winning the World Cup for what was then West Germany on July 4th, 1954, Josef Sepp Herberger won the World Cup as a head coach or manager at the age of 57 years, 3 months, and 7 days. With the West Germans' unexpected win, the World Cup victory became a symbol of national pride in post World War II West Germany, leading to the 1954 World Cup final being referred to as the Miracle of Bern. Herberger would also be the last World Cup winning coach or manager to be born in the 19th century. Vicente Italo Feola helped Brazil win their first World Cup in Sweden on June 29, 1958. With his date of birth being November 20th, 1909, it meant he was 48 years, 7 months, and 10 days old when it happened. An interesting thing to note, because both Brazil and Sweden had worn yellow kits throughout the tournament, this led to a dispute that was attempted to be decided with a draw, but Brazil boycotted it and Sweden was given the right to wear their yellow kits, leading to the Brazilian team to purchase blue colored t shirts and sewing the emblems from their regular shirts onto those. Since then, Brazil has worn blue shirts with white shorts as their alternate kit. Having been born on April 24th, 1912, Amore Moreira was 50 years, 1 month, and 25 days old when he led the Seleção Canarinho to their second World Cup on June 17, 1962. With Brazil's first victory occurring just 4 years earlier, this remains, as of this video, the most recent successful title defense in World Cup history. Sir Alfred Ernst Ramsay was born on January 22, 1920, and became a World Cup champion on his and the sport's home soil on July 30th, 1966, at the age of 46 years, 6 months, and 9 days. The 1966 World Cup final was the first and until 2022 only time a player had scored a hat trick in the final match of the tournament, as Geoff Hurst scored 3 goals in the 18th, 101st, and 120th minutes. The lone other English goal was from Martin Peters, who scored in the 78th minute. Born on August 9, 1931, the late great Mario Zagallo won the World Cup as a head coach or manager at the age of 38 years, 10 months, and 13 days on June 21st, 1970. However, he first gained a distinction as a player when he helped lead Brazil to their first World Cup title in 1958, making him the first person to win as both a player and a head coach or manager. Helmut Schön was born on September 15, 1915 in Dresden, located in what was then East Germany. He then fled and defected to West Germany in 1950 and became a World Cup champion as a head coach or manager for their national team on July 7, 1974, at the age of 58 years, 9 months, and 23 days. The 1974 World Cup wound up being the point for an interesting singularity in international soccer history, as the West Germans and East Germans faced each other for the first and only time at the senior level during the group stage. East Germany would win the match 1-0, but it was the West Germans who won it all on home soil. Argentina's first World Cup championship was won on June 25th, 1978. Their head coach or manager, Cesar Luis Menotti, born on October 22nd, 1938, was 39 years, 8 months, and 4 days old when they won it on home soil. The 1978 World Cup was a tournament filled with controversy. However, one of the more obscure bits of it involved the logo itself. The logo was designed using a pose of former leader Juan Perón as a basis in 1974. The then military junta government of Argentina tried to force a redesign, but had to back out due to possible litigation against the country, as a redesign would have been a nightmare due to the logo already being used in a commercial and merchandising manner. Having been born on September 26, 1927, Italian coach Enzo Berzot was 54 years, 9 months, and 16 days old when his country won their third World Cup title on July 11, 1982 in Madrid. The 1982 World Cup was the first to utilize a 24-team format, replacing the older 16-team format that had been in use since the tournament's inauguration in 1930. Dr. Carlos Salvador Bilardo of Argentina was born on March 16, 1938, and led his home team to their second World Cup win on June 29, 1986, at the age of 48 years, 3 months, and 14 days. The addition of Doctor was not one out of camaraderie, but of professionalism, as Dr. Bilardo studied medicine during his playing career at the University of Buenos Aires, graduating in 1971. However, he stopped practicing medicine in 1976, roughly a decade before he coached his home nation to victory. The late German great Franz Anton Beckenbauer coached the then West German team to victory in Rome on July 8, 1990. As he was born on September 11, 1945, he was 44 years, 9 months, and 28 days old when he gained the distinction. An interesting thing to note is that while Beckenbauer wasn't the first to gain a silver medal in a World Cup before winning it all as either a player or a coach, he is the only one to do so as both, as he was a player for West Germany in the 1966 and 1974 teams and coached the 1986 and 1990 West German teams. Coached by Carlos Alberto Gomes Pereira, the Brazilian team finally won the World Cup after a 24-year wait. Pereira was born on February 27, 1943, and gained the distinction of World Cup winning head coach or manager on July 17, 1994. He was 51 years, 4 months, and 21 days old when he did so. Despite the expansion of later tournaments to 32 and 48 teams starting from 2026 onwards, the 1994 World Cup remains the highest attended and most profitable tournament in World Cup history as of this video. Born on November 27, 1941, Aimé Etienne Jacquet would lead France to their first World Cup on home soil on July 12, 1998, at the age of 56 years, 7 months, and 16 days. It would actually be his last match as the head coach or manager, as he would resign from national team duty only a few days following his country's triumph. At the age of 53 years, 7 months, and 22 days, Luis Felipe Scolari led Brazil to their fifth World Cup on June 30th, 2002. He was born on November 9th, 1948. The 2002 World Cup was the first to be hosted by two nations, but this was the result of a compromise, as the higher ups in FIFA at the time just could not decide which of the two nations should host. As Marcelo Romeo Lippi was born on April 12, 1948, he was 58 years, 2 months, and 28 days old when he won the World Cup with the Azzurri on July 9, 2006. The 2006 World Cup final was the first to use a ball specifically designed for that match, that being the Adidas Plus Teamgeist Berlin, a practice that would continue until 2014. Prior World Cup final matches used the same ball design throughout the entire tournament. The 2010 winning Spanish head coach or manager, Vicente del Bosque Gonzalez, was born a day shy of Christmas Eve in 1950, December 23rd, and coached his countrymen to World Cup glory on July 11, 2010. Having achieved the feat with his home country, Spain, at the age of 59 years, 6 months, and 19 days, Vicente Del Bosque Gonzalez is currently the oldest head coach or manager to win the World Cup as of this video. Joachim Low coached the German team to their first post reunification World Cup victory on July 11, 2014, defeating Argentina in the final. Having been born on February 3rd, 1960, he achieved the feat of World Cup winning head coach or manager at the age of 54 years, 5 months, and 11 days. An interesting thing to note is that despite having suffered a 7-1 loss that put their country's World Cup on home soil aspirations out of reach, many Brazilian fans rooted for Germany due to Brazil's long-standing soccer rivalry with Argentina. Didier Claude Deschamps was born on October 15, 1968, and coached the French to their second World Cup victory on July 15, 2018, at the age of 49 years, 9 months, and 1 day. As he had won the World Cup in 1998 for France as a player, Didier Deschamps became the third and most recent person to win the tournament as a player and head coach/manager as of this video. The first two were Mario Zagallo and Franz Beckenbauer. Born on May 16, 1978, Argentine Lionel Sebastian Scaloni gained the distinction of World Cup winning head coach or manager in a rather unusual fashion. As the World Cup final was played on December 18, 2022, this meant he was 44 years, 7 months, and 3 days old when he coached Argentina to its third title. Due to the high heat in Qatar during the summer months when the World Cup usually takes place, the 2022 tournament was moved to a November December schedule, making this the latest date a World Cup final has been held as of this video. That is every World Cup winning head coach or manager as of this video. Of course, with the 2026 World Cup being held this year and subsequent editions being held in the future, this list will undoubtedly expand. We'll just have to wait and see who will win the distinction of World Cup winning head coach or manager in the future. That's it for today's video. See you all next time.